After a long time, we are joining together as full New Jersey church, including Elizabeth families. Right. Isn't it? Let us bring a big hand. Let me just open my notes. Okay. Yeah. Kind of that reading was an amazing reading from a speech Father given many years back in 1973. Actually, last weekend I was in San Francisco to attend this Holy Ground, the kickoff program of the Holy Ground Revival Tour, as well as National Leadership Assembly. Then I felt it was kind of really amazing spirit there. And I met with many of our members who joined there in early times, in late 60s and early 70s. Many of them who joined in West Coast. And also, this is first time I was able to meet with Oni Durst and Dr. Durst, who were very phenomenal leaders there. And also, many people whom I met at that where I could get a chance to listen to. Many of them were talking about our own Dr. Ang and Mrs. Ang, who were church leaders in early 70s then. And I felt it was a true revival happening there. A true revival happening within our membership. And I felt that I needed that, and we all needed that revival spirit, and that's why somehow last week when Dr. Malcolm spoke to us, he was talking about this particular speech Father gave. Then I went through this speech. I felt it was an amazing speech Father put out there, not just for America, not just for any human being, any person who was listening to Father at that time, but it was a speech Father given to the whole population, the entire humanity. Father was speaking about the whole restoration. And today's speech also, we heard particularly about America, and we can very easily understand that when a person comes to America from other countries, not only as we come, usually like many hundreds of thousands of people come to America every year, and many times for people, other countries, they dream about America. Then when they come, they have a hope. Usually their dream and their hope is to get rich. Isn't it? Many people want to get rich. And people want to, I'm not saying that is bad, that's a good thing. And they want to have better living conditions. This country is blessed by America, and it is founded on the principles of God. And many times when they come, they want to buy a house, they want to celebrate and enjoy life, and maybe want to buy a big car. And sometimes I feel I heard in late 60s and 70s something called American Dream, great American Dream. It was to own a house, and was it in suburbs and sometimes in a good neighborhood, and enjoy that and to raise up their children and send their children to good schools. I think we all have that. And that is a dream usually for everyone, for all people who live on this country, who come to this country, they have. But here in this speech, I read that Father talked about that. Father had a dream when Father came to this country. And here in this 100th passage, Father said, I did not come for my sake, I did not come here for my family's well-being. I did not come here. Father did not come here to buy big mansions, though Father may have that. But Father came here during the early time. When Father came, Father was touring all over America. The very first visit in 65 when Father came, he took the entire nation. In some of the places I heard, it was severe, cold, winter places. No one wanted to be there. That kind of places Father went. To remind everyone about the hope of God. What God is waiting for. What can we do for God? Here, Father said, I came here to remind everyone, remind each and every human being who live in this country, what is the dream for all of us, for God? What God wants us to do? And Father came here to talk about God's will for America, God's hope for America, isn't it? It was today's that passage, that reading heading was God's hope for America. Many times we wonder what is that? And according to Father's words, Father said, what is the will of God? Why does He give His people such a hard time? Many times we come here to have good life. And here Father said, what is the will of God? Why does He give His people such a hard time? Individual salvation is certainly important inside of God. God does not neglect that. However, that is not the ultimate purpose of God's word. God's will is the salvation of the world. God needs an individual to be His champion for the ultimate goal of the world's salvation. God summoned one family to be an instrument for the salvation of the world. God summoned His people to achieve salvation of the world. God wants to have a nation as His champion for the ultimate fulfillment for world salvation. That's why Father was going around this country talking about God's hope for America, God's desire for America, and what God wants from America. Father is saying that because God needs a country to champion that will. God needed a country to be the champion of God's hope for the world. When God needed one family to champion, when God needed a person and a family to champion God's desire, God's will for the world, two parents responded to that, isn't it? Father responded. Two mothers responded. That's why Father followed that. And also, I believe when God needs thousands of people to champion His will, I feel you all followed that. Isn't it? And many of you are here because you followed that call from God and call from two parents. And again, many of us are here because some of your parents followed that. Isn't it? Some of you never heard about that. I wasn't here, I think, when was it? It was in October 1973. I born on June 73. I was right after that. I wasn't here to listen to that, but I see the people who followed God. I met with people who followed true parents. That's why I'm here. And many of these young people we have here, they are here because you, as their parents, followed God, followed true parents. But I think when you followed, we absolutely believe in true parents. We absolutely believe in God in creating a new world, creating a wonderful time for us. Maybe almost like people come to America with a great dream. You might have a dream. I'm sure you had a dream. Still have. Yes. And how many of you get rich because of that? Only Mr. Burns got rich. I know he will give yes to every question I ask. And he's saying true. He's not just saying yes to cheer me up or just to say, oh, it's good to say yes and cheer a speaker. No, he truly is. And you should sometimes listen to his sharing. Anyway, most of us, I met with many of our members. I talk to, whenever I meet a person who joined before me, I ask them, why did they join? And what was their dreams? And what they were doing before? And I met with the many people who were in their studies, who were in the graduate school, or even they were working before. And many of you and many of us left their schools to join with this church or with the movement. And many of us give up their careers. And for a long time, and I feel Mr. Chamla is here. One time I had a talk with him. Before he joined the church, he's wondering why I'm suddenly using, I wasn't planning to use his name, but he told me he was in a professional band before he joined the church. And then he suddenly joined the church. He is in MFT, and for almost 20 years, he never even picked up his guitar. I don't know, 20 years, or for a while, he didn't use at all. Then somehow later, he got a chance to again play that. Now he is teaching children. Now he is fully involved with the band. And anyway, what I'm saying is, we joined with the church. We follow God. We follow true parents. But it wasn't a big, amazingly, we all got suddenly become rich and suddenly we are in a fascinating life. And many times, when you analyze Prudential history, when you study that, yesterday we were listening to Reverend Compton. He was teaching Prudential history and parallels of history. We could listen to that entirely. And where whoever championed for God always suffered. And in today's reading, we heard that. I mentioned, why we are suffering? Because God was always suffering. And God needed one person to work with. And that's why, in the very beginning, God chose Noah. When Noah was chosen by God, what was he going through? He went onto the mountains and building this ark. He was ridiculed by people. He was a stupid person in front of God, in front of people. Maybe even in front of his family members. And later, he had to give up maybe he was a rich farmer And someone was telling me, I don't know, he was the first person learned to brew wine and things like that. I don't know if that's true, but he was a successful farmer probably. He might have been a rich person, but he gave up everything for God. Then follow God. Then he had to face tremendous difficulties. Again, Abraham, he was a champion for God. He chose to be with God. He gave up according to Bible. He was a pagan person worshipping many idols, and probably he was a rich person too, and he had to give up everything to follow God. He only brought his nephew, isn't it? Nothing else, and he gave up everything. Then he had to go through tremendous difficulties. He even had to be ready to sacrifice his own child. And that's the way he championed for God. And that's the way he became the father of faith. Now he is called as father of faith. Was that an easy way? Was he gloriously, he came from that, okay God, I give up these idols and I believe you, and now I'm suddenly become father of faith? Was it like that? No. It was a totally, very, very difficult path he had to go through. Then by doing that, by going through that, he became that person. That person we all respect. Look at Moses. Moses was a person God chose from Egypt. He was a person who was amazingly enjoying the richness of the life. He was the second person after Pharaoh in Egypt. Isn't it? We all learn about that. We know that story in detail. And he had a lot of people working under him. They were Hebrews, and he himself was a Hebrew, but he didn't have to work as a laborer. He didn't have to work as a slave, but he just had to work for Pharaoh and controlling everyone and enjoying all the richness he had. But one day, God called him. God chose him one day. Then, suddenly he became the leader of those Hebrews, and suddenly he became the person who is supposed to bring back all those Hebrews back to Canaan, from Egypt to Canaan. But was he enjoying that leadership, sitting in a throne and asking everyone to feed him, and asking everyone to worship him? Could he do that? How was it? How was Noah's life? Moses' life. He was a person that was tough. Yes, it was horribly tough. He was chased by Egyptians, and again he was attacked by his own people. His own people asked him, why did you brought us from that place? There we had everything. We just needed to work. We got good food. And we had everything there. Now you brought us back from there, and you promised us that you will take us to a place where filled with honey, and honey is flowing in the rivers, and milk and honey. You promised us that. And where is the milk? Where is the honey? And why we have to wander around this desert? Where are we? You did that. Because of you, we are suffering. Isn't it? Yes. Moses was accused by his own people. But he had to keep his faith. He had to keep his faith even though he was attacked by people. And I feel many times our true parents responded to that call of God. When God called them, Jesus came to our true parents and asked, Father, Can you target for God? I could not completely finish that. Can you target for God? And God wants one person to tell everyone what is the will of God for all human beings. God needs one person. Can you target for me? Can you lead this for me? Then, true Father responded to that. True Father said, yes. That's why Father had to go through all kinds of difficulties. And just like that, all of us say yes to Father. Father, we are here to support you. And all of you understood that dream from Father. Listen to that dream of God, that dream of God about America, about this country, about the whole world. Maybe many of you joined in Japan by listening to that dream about you and about your country and about the whole world. I had a dream and I joined. I thought I can really do that right there. I still believe, I think we can. Do you remember what was your dream when you joined? Can you share that with your next person with you? Everyone, I want to think about that very reason you joined. Maybe it could be different from this particular speech Father gave. It could be totally different. Think about that. What was that one point? And I don't want you to keep that. Then share with that one person. Share with one person sitting near to you. Okay? Okay, Mr. Franklin. 1 minute.
Brothers and sisters, I'd like to share my brief experience with you. Gave me so much hope when I first joined the church. I was in a workshop in Cincinnati, and my drummer, David, he was right there. But that was about 37 years ago, right? Yeah. He came after the workshop, and we were listening. And after we finished the workshop, the lecturer put on, Father's speech. And that was our Father's speech in Washington Monument speech, right? And I remember hearing Colonel Park translating for Father, and Colonel Park said, "We will never let God down. Never, never, never." And that just really got to me, really got to me. And I said at that time, I was too young to follow Martin Luther King, but I am old enough to follow this man to bring
God up. Here, remember, everyone who listened to this dreams of all of our brothers and sisters, remember that. And never forget that, what other person shared. And also, who shared that to your friend. Think about that now. When Moses had to go through that difficulty in order to take his people to that land of honey and milk, he had to go through tremendous difficulty. And in New Testament, it says the path to heaven is filled with thorns and sharp stones. Stones and thorns. It's never been easy. That's why who would choose to go towards God's side, it will be always difficult in the beginning. And it will be always tough. And so difficult to give up that. And many times, by doing that, look at all those historical figures I mentioned about. They were always trying to bring God up. That was the very thing he did. That was the very thing Mr. Franklin did. I want to bring God up. I don't want to bring God to be down. And that's why we choose to be with the side of God. We were under the dominion of Satan. Satan was controlling us. Satan was showing us when Egyptians were controlling Hebrews. They had everything. They had food. They had shelter. They were happy there. And they even become a big people, almost more than Egyptians. They were big enough. They were very happy too, even though they were working for Egyptians. They somehow thought, oh, that's okay. And they even, when Moses was leading them out of Egypt, they thought, oh, that is something we don't really want. Some of them wanted to go back. That's because their life was comfortable. They could not even see that they are under the control of them. They are not living their own life. They were slaves, but they could not see that. And many times, when we choose this path, we come out of that our comfortable life. But what we left out there, the slavery under Satan. And then we are walking towards that Canaan, God promising to us. In order to take that, in order to take everyone to back there, God needed champions. And that's why we are championing for God. Many times we will hear people saying that, hey, when you were here, you were very comfortable. And when you were with us, when you were studying, why did you give up that study? And I know one Indian person who joined out of India was actually Darren Franklin's in-law, Godwin De Silva. He was in Oxford University, one of the best universities in the world. And I met with him almost 10 years back, and I was asking him his story. Then he said, he gave up his master's in management, then he joined. Then he never had enough money, or he was always upfront for God. Recently, I talked about him when I was in San Francisco. I was talking to someone in Los Angeles. Then somehow we talk about him too. That's why when I was preparing my sermon, I remembered about him. I felt. Then he was telling me that he never regretted that choice he did. He made that choice many years back. And many times his mother told him that, his relatives told him that was the wrong choice. But years back, his mother also became happy about that. I met with his mother in our New Jersey church during the wedding time of Danny and Godwin's daughter Priya. Then she was happy. And she said, oh, you people are amazingly good people. So I'm happy my son joined, even though he didn't finish his study. And many times, many people like him, most of you joined that way. Many times, we have to. Still sometimes, we are walking this path with the sharp stones, path with the thorny thorns. But we are walking this for God. To bring God up, we can maybe go back to that place where with enough food, enough richness, where Satan will be able to provide everything for us. But our goal is not that. Our goal is to revive. Our goal is to bring God back to this country and bring God back to the world where God will be able to reign everything. And until that time, it may be tough for us. And right now, we are doing this, our church, as a national organization. We are doing this God's Hope for America tour. I attended that kickoff ceremony there, kickoff program. I had a chance to go to Twin Peak Holy Ground. Also, I met with many people who joined there. And also, even the band also, almost all of them, they joined in early 70s. They were continuously playing. We had a passage forum there. We had one big Sunday service there, and like this, and we had a big opening ceremony. Everything was filled with amazing spirit. And that true spirit we joined, the true spirit, true Father brought here, it came back. And that's why when Dr. Markham is leading this tour, he is the only hope he is looking. The only expectation he wants to fulfill is being revived by ourselves. With that very reason, we joined. The very thing stimulated us to join with this church. Just like he shared with everyone. I want to bring up God. I want to bring up God as the controller of everything. And let us do that. By doing this, as our national tour is happening during this time, we can do that. And yesterday, while we were listening to these presentations by many people, many of our members were presenting this amazing truth God given to us through Jesus and through second coming, through parents. That is reviving us. And we need to every day remind us to revive ourselves to do that. Without that, there is no way can achieve that. And this country has a great cause. That's why True Father came here and told the entire nation. And no other country had that. And because this country had a potential to be the champion for the whole world, to be a champion for God, to save the whole world. And today, I really want to ask all of you, let us bring back God here. Let us bring back God to this world so that we all can share that amazing, we all can have the real brotherhood. We all can have the real sisterhood. We all can have that one single family under God. That is the first hope of God. And we come for today. And it is amazing to see all of us together. For a long time, in Clifton, when we have two services, we never see all of us together. And also, when Elizabeth, after they gone, they have their service. It's amazing, but we miss everyone. Today, Pastor Greg is with us here today, and with the entire congregation, all of our members. And today, actually, his own birthday.